Howdy do everyone, you know who I am, ETTemplar, Supreme Misfit, Professional Dipshit. And with that in mind, my opinion is probably going to piss off a lot of pro-NATO or NAFO people. And it goes quite against the general brainwashing that's going on here in the West with this opinion. But first, we have this to react to. Take it away, you coke-headed midget.
Am I not right?
Leaving the White House today, President Trump said this.
He's looking to go on and fight. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
What do you make of that? Do you want to continue fighting? Do you want peace? And if he had the opportunity to go back to the White House right now, would you do it?
No. First of all, we want peace. That's why I'm in the United States. That's why I visited President Trump. And thanks for invitation again. The deal on minerals is the first step to security guarantees. It's meant for the peace, closer to peace. That's why I'm here. And we have tough situation. To understand it is.
And if I can consolidate my dictatorship powers and continue to oppress the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and Christians and get more money from all the American taxpayer, then we would like that very much so. Give us a nuclear weapon so we can hit Russia and cook off World War III, because apparently I'm a fucking idiot.
To be in Ukraine. You saw it, Brad. You was once. Thank you again. So I think that's very important to understand what's going on. But I respect my soldiers and our people, our civilians who.
You do you? I'm laughing because that is such a fucked up lie, because ever since the war started, there's been groups, elements that aren't being paid, aren't receiving supplies. There's even a video going around where they emptied the grenade, like gunpowder, for I guess like black market reasons, and they filled the grenades with cornstarch. So clearly there's a grift going on, and if you guys don't know, some of these weapons are being sold to the cartels and other criminal elements and groups. So it's not only them stealing taxpayer money, but they're selling off these arms and munitions to other places. It's not just staying in Ukraine.
Work and support our warriors. I can't say just stop. Nobody will stop, because everybody afraid that Putin will come back tomorrow. We want just and lasting peace. It's true. We want security guarantees. We raise this topic about NATO the quickest way, but not all the countries are on this side. I said, okay, if not NATO, nobody is pushing. If not NATO, let's build NATO in Ukraine. That's my position. Europeans are ready to have contingents on our territory, boots on the ground. United States.
All right, so this is going to be the fun part of the video where I talk about some history, okay? So let me first look up what is the total land mass of Russia. 6.602 million square miles. 6.602 million square miles, and in imperial and other units, that's about 16,376,870 square kilometers. So Russia is a big ass fucking country. And so let's do a little bit of history here for those of you who don't know. So the last modern example that tried to invade Russia, here we get into it, okay? So, Adolf Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, known as Operation Barbarossa, began on June 22nd, 1941. The German-led Axis forces committed to the campaign were massive, representing one of the largest military operations in history. The total size of the invading force is estimated about 3.8 million personnel across all branches involved in the initial assault. That included German army, approximately 3 million soldiers organized into 136 divisions, infantry, panzer, motorized, etc. The Germans deployed about 3,600 tanks, 2,500 to 3,000 aircraft, Luftwaffe, and over 7,000 artillery pieces. Axis allies, roughly 800,000 troops from the countries like Romania, over 300,000, Italy, Hungary, Slovakia, Finland, although Finland's role was more of a co-belligerent with separate objectives. Romania, for example, contributed 14 divisions and 4 brigades initially, and I think Spain had some troops. Total divisions, around 150 to 160 divisions, with the German contribution forming the backbone of about 75% of the personnel. So all those stats I just fed you. Couldn't take Russia. They got crushed. So if we take the modern situation of Europe's pitiful military size and NATO's pitiful military size, so we got what was that? What was that initial number? 6.602 million square miles. So you mean to tell me Europe's military force currently, yes, we have modern stuff like hypersonic jets and tanks and reactive armor, and we got satellites, we've got artillery, we've got rocket-guided munitions, we've got all this stuff, but again, 6.602 million square miles of Russian countryside, of Russian peoples that they're nations like onion, right? If you get through the initial forces, you got conscripts, you've got Chechens, you've got a massive landmass that could not be possibly conquered in 100 years if you had 100 million troops. And not only that, currently on the border, Ukraine, Russians already have fortifications. They got tunnels that go like kilometers underground. So Russia already has a considerable fortification, and of course the pro-military, the deluded bastards who think they can easily stomp Russia and dog walk them are saying, "Oh, I'm so proud." But look, the truth is, how many nations have tried to invade Russia in the past? You have Carolus Rex of Sweden. You had the French tried it, which I think it's something like 1 or 2 in 12 French soldiers came back out of 12. And then before that, you have Vikings. You have so many other invasions into Russia that they just got turned into dog food. All right. And look, I know this is coming off as, and of course some of you in the comments, you sound like you sound like you respect Russia. No, I look into history. History's I find fucking fascinating. And with all those numbers I gave you, at World War II, Germany under Adolf Hitler at the time had the largest military that this world's ever seen. And he got within 3 miles of Moscow, and that was it. And ever since, it was a disaster ever since. Let me tell you some stories. So, Stalingrad, the Russians threw so many fucking troops at the Germans that they ran out of ammo shooting them. They ran out of ammunition shooting them, and they just got overrun. They got zerged. In one case, I think it's the 12th Army or the 8th. There's some army that got surrounded by the Russians, and they got frostbite so bad their fingers like swole on their fingers. They got frostbite in their fingers, and they couldn't operate the triggers on their guns. And of course, they got annihilated or captured. So I have a question to put out to the NATO people, right? Or these American Western military like operators and propagandists. What kind of crack are you guys smoking? Because again, Russia is about 6.602 million square miles, and you think you're going to do it with 1/10 or 1/100th of what Adolf Hitler had. And not only that, to top that off, Belarus has, I think Putin has given Belarus thermonuclear weapons, ICBMs, for their missile silos. So if you do invade Russia, you got to go through Belarus too. Now, I don't know much about Belarusians, but I'm pretty sure they're hardy people. And I think Lukashenko himself has said, if anyone invades my shit, you're getting nuked. So if you're a sane person who's looked at history, who's read stuff about the Russian people, or at least has some semblance of sanity, you can look at this whole situation in Russia and be like, yeah, no one can take that. And even if you deploy nuclear weapons against Russia, that's not guaranteed that you could win. And of course, Russia would respond with nuclear weapons. So there is the reason why I made this video is that there are some delusional military people in the American military. There's delusional people in NATO, and there's delusional people in the West. And um, again, to wrap this up, the German army had 3 million soldiers when they invaded, 136 divisions, 3,600 tanks, 2,500 to 3,000 aircraft, and 7,000 artillery pieces, and they couldn't do it. And again, you're talking about the peak of the German military. You've got elite units like Waffen SS, you've got Latvian SS, you've got some of the most fanatical, like, fight to the death units, and they couldn't pull it off. And even with Napoleon in his heyday, right? Uh, most of those guys froze to death. Here's a story that a lot of French volunteers froze to death. Maybe it was the Volga, or there was some river where the French engineers literally froze to death building a bridge so they could escape. And any invasion into Russia spells doom. Whether you bring out thermonuclear weapons or not, an invasion into Russia by anyone, even the United States, I mean, I'm a USA kind of guy too, but we have to look at the real reason here that is insanity. And there are delusional people out here in the West and NATO and Europe that they're just lost. They're delusional retards, and sure, gas yourself up, but I mean, and if it actually does come to a World War III scenario where people are invading Russia, my ancestors tried invading Russia, okay? Prussians, Germans, and I don't care to share that shared genetic fate, okay? I had a great uncle that was in the 49th Division during World War I, and he was in a reserve regiment, and one of his deployments was the Eastern Front. Okay, I ain't going through that. Call me a coward if you will, but the very fact of an invasion into Russia, if you're a normal, sane person, should turn your stomach, and the hairs of your arms should stand up, because anyone sent over there, it will be an absolute bloodbath. If it's one thing that is hard, and it's like I said before, again, in closing, when God made man, he made them out of clay, but when he made the Slavs, he chiseled them out of the mountain. They are a sterner people of most, and an invasion on Russia, you'd be fighting them on their turf with their fury, their zeal, and even with their Rush Orthodox faith. You're gonna be doomed. Even if you win, it's gonna be a purific victory. You will lose a lot. It wouldn't be worth the victory to celebrate. But Zelensky is delusional to think his small country of Ukraine can defeat Russia. Again, we went over the German statistics of all what they had, and they couldn't pull it off. And that's with international force of Italy, Hungary, Slovakia, Finland, Romania, Spanish units. And the fact that, again, anyone thinks that they can defeat Putin, Russia, it's absurd to me. I'm just cutting in here to also mention that Russia has a patron saint of nuclear weapons, Seraphim of Sarov. They also have a saint of strategic nuclear armed bombers, and they call their missiles archangels. I, for one, don't want to fuck around and find out with that. Call me Putin sympathizer if you want, but that is gloriously mad, and I don't think we should open that particular Pandora's box of Russia. That's all I'm saying. And it concerns me that there are people who are so delusional, who are so fanatical about the West, that they actually think they can take the motherland. So with that, I'll close this opinion video here. I am no Putin sympathizer. But if it's one thing I know about Russian Orthodox people is they don't give in easy. And any invasion force into Russia is just absurd. And anyone pushing for it is a delusional, psychotic freak that clearly hasn't looked at history enough. And of course, again, to preface this, we have modern technology and supersonic aircraft and artillery pieces. And I don't think it matters. It's Russia again, 6.602 million square miles. All right, so that was my opinion on that. Hopefully, you found it interesting, enlightening, and it probably more than likely pissed some people off, but I don't care. That's the truth. And so these people, their opinion does not share my own. But special thank you to the fleet captains and viewers like you for even watching this. So thanks for watching. See you next time. God bless. Stay happy, stay healthy. And of course, if you want to support this channel further, that would be cool. There's links in the description. If not, that's a-okay too. Thanks for the watch time. Leave a comment, like or dislike, and I'll see you next time.